Hello, everyone, and welcome to EUphoria, the channel which celebrates and showcases the best that the European TTRPG scene has to offer, like all of these lovely faces you see right now on your screen. Now, we are here today to sadly play the last in this series of Blades in the Dark, but I hope that you've enjoyed the ride, and we're ready for just one more ride of the Silver Spectres. But before we get started, are you following EUphoria on Twitch? And if not, why not? You can go down below and follow right now. And while you're down there, you can find all the links to EUphoria's social media channels. So give us a follow so that you can be up to date on all the other amazing actual plays that are going to be coming out on this channel, as well as discussions and other fantastic streams. And if you really, really want to support EUphoria, you could even join the Patreon. That means that you are directly funding independent TTRPG content from European creators, and you'll get access to behind-the-scenes goodies to thank you for your support. Finally, I've got to mention that you can follow the EUphoria podcast feed, where you will get audio-only versions of all of the EUphoria streams so that you can listen again without the visuals if that's the way you prefer to consume your actual play content. So, as I mentioned, today we are playing Blades in the Dark. This game was created by John Harper. It is published by Evil Hat, and I'm going to mention the same content warnings up the top, that this game setting is loosely a Victorian England dark fantasy vibe, and the themes which are very likely to come up in a game of Blades in the Dark are poverty, class disparity, police violence, and lots and lots of spooky occult things. If that doesn't sound great to you, this might not be the game for you. And if you want more detailed content warnings of exactly what's going to come up in this particular session, then please check the chat, or if you're a VOD watcher, check the show notes below. Now, with all of that housekeeping out of the way, let's say hello to this fantastic cast of players one more time. Everyone, please can you give your name, pronouns, where you are in the world, and a quick visual description for anyone who's not able to see us right now. And let's start with Gask.
Hello! I was last time, oh dear. Hello, my name is Gaskinator. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Ireland, the Great Emerald Isle. I am wearing a very boring white t-shirt today that matches my pale ass white skin, and I have red hair. And I actually, because I'm playing a cowboy, I'll be putting on my cowboy hat as well.
Love
that
the hat.
Won't fall off.
Currently covering your entire face, but apart from that, I'm living for it. Let's go next to Sakaya.
Hello everyone, I am Sakaya from the Transmissions. I am based up in Aberdeen. I go by she, her pronouns. And I am sort of a vaguely human-shaped mass of black veil over long white hair. I'm a white trans woman hiding under all this.
And Cash.
Hello everyone, I'm Cash. I use she, her pronouns. I am based in the east of Germany in the beautiful Leipzig, and I'm currently wearing I need to look actually in the camera, I'm wearing a white turtleneck sweater and I have curly hair that is in a puffy updo, and I look a little bit tired.
I don't think you look tired, but I understand the feeling can really be strong within us all. And hello, my name is Michelle, my pronouns are she, her, and I am coming from you from sunny South Yorkshire. I am a brown-skinned woman with long, straight black hair, and I'm wearing a sort of green, gauzy blouse which has parrots on it. Aren't they cute? They're mostly covered by my hair, but now you all have seen the reveal. Parrots. Lovely. So, with those intros out of the way, we always like to go around and ask a quick question to get us into the mindset of the game. And for all of you lovely people who watched last week's session, I hope you've watched last week's session. Go and watch it now. Well, no, watch this, then go and watch it. I don't know. Choose whatever order suits you best. But you may remember we did not do all the downtime activities for the crew on stream. Downtime in Blades of the Dark are the little non-significant things like healing all of the wounds you've taken, clearing your stress, and other things to kind of improve and strengthen your character between sessions. So, in lieu of an icebreaker question, I'm just going to ask all of our lovely players to let us know, what have they been up to in downtime? Starting with Gask, what did Bootleg get up to recover from the last mission?
I think he did a kind of 2-in-1 to help him heal physically and mentally from the stress, because his vice is luxury, and his harm was a lot of being freaked out by ghosts, and being a little bruised on his delicate skin. So I think he just had a big splurge spa day. The mud baths, the cucumbers on the eyes. At least he was pretending it was fancy. I'm not sure what he could actually afford.
A booty peddy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that in the district of Silkshore, there is a spa which is called Max Factor, because it was founded by one of my other players in another game called Mac. So in my headcanon, that's where you went.
That's exactly where I went.
And they'll be very pleased to know that their character transcends canon. Sakaya, what did Kirsten of the Vale get up to?
Okay, so Kirsten continued with the project of doing up their secret base. So she had more Scovelan workers coming in, and that's just a thing that's going on in the background. We're not living in so many cobwebs and dust and holes in the floor anymore. The other thing was her stress, if you may remember, everyone, was kind of maxed out last session. So I indulged my vice. Now, if by now you don't know what that means kind of having some strange argumentative seance with the ghost of my former husband that possesses me. And it would have gone along the lines of, I know you wanted Arlo to figure out what had happened to his father. I know you hoped it would drive a wedge between us to weaken me and allow you to take over. It backfired, Leopold. You should never have doubted him. He supports me as he always did. So, sad to say, I only rolled a 1. So I had to then spend a coin to try and beef that up a little bit, but I am now about half of my stress is back.
You have reminded me, you of course took trauma in the last session, didn't you, Sakaya?
I did.
Yes. In fact, give yourself that coin back, because a part of taking trauma is that all your stress will clear back to 0.
Because you can't be stressed when you're traumatized.
Interesting.
Yes,
in that case,
you are back down, and you can have your downtime action back. I forgot to tell you about that.
Well, I may just switch that stress thing to remove that 1 harm I've got then instead. Just do a swap for like.
Very wise, very wise.
Very interesting. I still had that rant at Leopold though. That's canon.
You absolutely still spoke to Leopold. There's no way he's not getting ranted at after pulling a stunt like that.
And I don't think I actually mentioned I hadn't chosen, so I've taken unstable as my trauma, if that wasn't mentioned last week.
So after taking trauma in a session of Blades in the Dark, your character is forever changed. So the Harpy is going to be a little bit more unstable, perhaps, going forward. All right then, Cash, how did Arlo recover from the very stressful events of last week's session?
Arlo took a lot of physical damage the last session, and I think in order to kind of heal from that, he will partake in some physical therapy, maybe join Bootleg in the spa for a day, or maybe just a few hours, depending on how comfortable Bootleg is with him being around. And
Bootleg's got the cucumbers on his eyes. He's fine.
Good. So he'll join in that, and I think he will also in the evenings do a bit of yoga just to get that the fascia a little bit more or less tight, I would say. And I think this is how he reduces the physical harm done to his shoulder, at least on one side, because on the other side he's still suffering. So on his non-dominant arm, his left arm, his shoulder is still a little bit slumped down and he still has trouble raising it over his head. But other than that, he's fine. This is how he recovered. So he focused mostly on just reducing his physical harm.
That was wise. Also, the image of Arlo doing yoga is sending me. That's so cute.
Absolutely.
So, with all of your characters recovered as they can be in the time they've had, I think it's time for another assignment to land at your door. Are we all ready to play? Let's go.
Euphoria presents a Blades in the Dark actual play. Starring Michelle as the GM, Cash plays General, Sakaya plays Harpy, and Gask plays Bootleg. The Ballad of the Silver Spectres.
In a fundamentally unjust world, how do we strike the balance between helping others and helping ourselves? How many times must we stumble into our beds with feet and hearts aching from the strain of giving everything? How many evenings can we spend in relaxation and luxury, closing our ears to the quiet voice whispering, selfish? How many times must we bite down on our own tongues as we feel them forming the words, what's in it for me? How many times must we find ourselves reaching down, working desperately to pull someone up, when we know for a fact that the people at the very top would never so much as look down? How do we live in a world like this? The Silver Spectres have had a quiet week or so, recovering from a party that didn't quite go to plan. You made yourselves a bit of cash, and you learned some interesting things, not least that the Spirit Wardens appear to be in the pocket of the Strangford family in exchange for access to certain rare and dangerous artifacts. But that money and knowledge nearly came at the cost of your lives. All in a day's work for a gang of criminals working to one day afford the sort of luxury they witnessed that night, perhaps. But the time for rest is over. 2 letters have arrived at the lair of the Silver Spectres. One was in your usual postbox, a little way away from the house, as obviously no one knows exactly where your house is. The other letter was pushed under the front door. So my first question is, who brings these letters in?
Is there anyone in the group that's, checks the mailbox all the time, every morning?
I think
Anyone
that
waiting for mail?
Arlo probably doesn't even know that we have a letterbox, so he wouldn't know.
It's a thing that Kirsten may do, but I think she's been a little bit bedridden. It might be you, Bootleg.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Is
it's
there
Bootleg.
any ye old Duskfall coupons that exist in this world that Bootleg frantically checks the mailbox for every day?
Yeah, you're checking for the coupons, but sadly all there is just a sort of hastily folded piece of paper. It actually looks like it might be written on the back of some of those pamphlets you see handed around by the unions down in Coalridge, and just folded up and shoved into your letterbox.
I was hoping I'll have a half off on shoe shining, but I guess it's some cryptic message. Of course it's gotta be.
And as you head back to the townhouse to bring this to your associates and open the door, you'll find that second letter on the doormat. This one is a proper envelope made of thick, creamy parchment, with in a sort of spindly but very elegant handwriting, has Silver Spectres on the front as an address.
How do they miss the mailbox? You'd have to be some kind of idiot to not know we have one.
Well, extremely clever to know where our base is.
Exactly. Everyone gather up.
Where do you all gather up to read your post?
Do you think there's one of those really rich fancy dining rooms that have the tables that go across the whole room? I feel like Bootleg insists on sitting on the other side compared to where the other two sit. Most times if they have meals there. If it's a meeting, he's reasonable, but other times he's like, I didn't hear you. Stop referring to me.
If you just came and sat closer, bootleg.
No, I like the ambiance in this side of the room.
Absolutely, you have one of those. In fact, yes, I think that Arlo always likes to have a bowl of fruit. So I imagine in the middle of this huge long table, there is always a bowl of fruit.
Yeah, for sure.
And as you sit down with these two letters, which one do you open first?
Well, do we want the shoddy news or the fancy news, I guess?
Kit just waves a hand.
Arlo, you pick.
Okay. And then he kind of like extends his hand out and does like a little motion like this, closes his eyes, and then just stops over
Are
the
you
creamy
doing
letter.
fucking eeny, meeny, miny, mo?
No. I picked one. There was a lot of thought behind it.
Okay. Well, which one you pick?
The creamy one.
The creamy one.
Sure.
Wow, it's the fastest I've ever regretted using an adjective. Beautiful. Let's see what's inside the letter. I will read it to you all. My dear neighbours, may I first take a moment to reassure you that exposing the whereabouts of your humble abode holds absolutely no interest. Your secret, or indeed secrets, are safe with me. I write to ask of you a simple favour. As I'm sure such masters of underworld espionage as yourselves are well aware, the Spirit Wardens have been working alongside one Lord Strangford to supply him with the means to create hulls. This technology is, of course, against nature, against the law, and against good taste. However, if the Spirit Wardens have chosen to revive and share this knowledge, it hardly seems just that Strangford alone should have access. My request, therefore, is thus. Procure a piece of hull technology from the Spirit Wardens and deliver it to my nephew Oscar at Scurlock Manor. Your reward? Scurlock Manor is yours. I no longer reside at the building, nor does Oscar. However, he has been working tirelessly for the last several years to renovate the old seat of my family's power, and, if you'll forgive my indulgence in complimenting the boy, he has done really rather well. I'm sure you have seen the exterior, it being situated a paltry few streets away from your current home, and you may think it looks run down, overgrown, barely habitable. This is, of course, exactly why it would make the perfect replacement for your little townhouse. I assure you, the interior tells a very different story. Oscar awaits the delivery of the hull technology, and will furbish you with the keys to the manor in return. Yours eternally, Lord Scurlock.
Do we know that name, Lord Scurlock? Has it ever come across?
So, you have not
Right.
yet come across Lord Scurlock, but go ahead, Kirsten.
No, go on.
Okay. But it is a name you would definitely know, residing in Six Towers. Scurlock Manor is the grandest and most palatial of the abandoned estates in this part of town. The Scurlock family is a very, very old but very, very reclusive family. Lord Scurlock, the current leader of the family, is something of a man about town, sort of independently wealthy, rarely seen, really. And you now know that there's a nephew named Oscar, but apart from that, you don't know much about the family except that they've been in Dustfall for a very, very long time.
I don't know about you, but that sounds like a very, very intriguing offer. A luxurious manor? I mean, compared to our, I mean, no offense, mother, but our little townhouse, I could really do for some new luxury.
I mean, as long as you're willing to help move all this furniture out.
I guess, yeah, I could. But we could also just pay someone to do it. It doesn't always have to be me. Just because I have these strong arms as... Oh god, I was gonna say as pistols, but it doesn't make any sense. Never mind.
Your guns?
My guns.
Yeah.
The letter suggests the interior is not as shabby as the exterior, so perhaps the furniture is already there.
Yeah, but, you know, the chairs, they've already contoured to me, you know? I'm comfortable here.
I guess I can take one chair for you, bootleg.
Attaboy. Okay.
Kirsten's
Now,
super intrigued by the idea of having a manor, but is actually going to stay relatively quiet because she knows the other two love the finer things in life. So I think she's just going to let their natural greed kind of take this the way.
Okay.
okay, so let's see if this pamphlet letter can give us a job that pays better than a manor.
Okay. So you open up this second letter, and in handwriting which is familiar to you, you see a note which reads, "We broke in for the usual sabotage last night and the machines were all dead. Whatever's making them full of ghosts is gone. Maybe we finally wrecked his reputation enough. But word on the street is, the bill hooks have been hired to accompany a delivery from Coalridge to Brightstone in 2 nights' time. That's got to be it. Whatever's on that carriage is what makes machines move. We can't let them get back to Strangford. We all know this magic is evil. If any more of these rich folks get their hands on it, every one of us is doomed. Stop the carriage, destroy every last thing inside. Please." And it's signed from Belle Brogan.
Okay.
Good old
Helpful
Belle.
information, not as helpful in the execution.
Would that perhaps be the piece of hull technology?
It sounded like it, but it also sounded like they wouldn't reward us very well. And on the other hand, we have a great manor that we could get.
Yeah, it's the same job, but we need to do different results.
Belle would never necessarily know whether we had destroyed it or not.
That's right. We could just say we did.
I think they're gonna notice when the technology starts popping up again under the name of a new highfalutin, hoity-toity noble. I don't think this is very clear cut. Do we want to do the right thing or do we want to do the right thing by us?
Well,
Now, you probably know which one I want to do, but I'm not naive enough to think that I can do this job without you.
I don't know, Mother. We've run from the worst possible thing that could have happened to us, and we landed in this rut, and now we have the chance to get a new house, a new home, a new opportunity for our life how it used to be.
By possibly perpetuating this technology, driving thousands more into our situation.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But what if we just acquired that technology and then decided what to do with it? I mean, we don't have to make up our minds just yet, do we? We could try to get it first and then see what our hearts say.
Well, I am intimate with bringing power close to myself, shall we say. And unfortunately, your ability to make a rational decision once you have that power is difficult. If you think you can make the right decision once it's in your grasp, I trust you, Harlow.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. I think I have to think about it a little bit more, but we could just go out and then see what happens.
See what happens. Great plan. So what if it turns out this thing's too big or too heavy to just take with us?
That's something I didn't think about before. You always ask the right questions.
Exactly. You gotta figure out if the worst is gonna happen, because when we get to it, are we gonna be getting shot at from all sides by the bootlickers? I can't remember their name.
I love that you always call them that.
Yeah, I think it's perfect.
Well, it sounds like you all are moving into a bit of planning and preparation.
I think so.
So I think this is the perfect time to move into our gather information phase, where you'll each get a chance to do something to prepare for the job that it sounds like you are taking on. Though which of the two people asking you to take it on, it's not quite sure yet who you're going to report to. But the information you have is that whatever this technology is, whatever this thing is that makes it possible to create hulls, is probably going to be moved in a carriage from Coalridge in the southern part of the city up to Brightstone in the northern part, which is where the Strangford Manor is. And it sounds like your old pals, the Billhooks, are going to be guarding this carriage. That's how much you know. What else would you like to try and find out or do to prepare for intercepting this delivery?
I think I would like to know what the exact route they would take and if there's any, let's say, geographical location that could be of use to us. For example, a very dark alley or something similar.
Okay, yeah, that's a great thing to try and find out. How would you like to try and find this information out? What does Arlo do?
I think Arlo would probably consult one of the very intricately drawn maps of Duskwall that he has, and will maybe use his maybe his hunting abilities to see what the best stakeout position would be. If that makes sense.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I see. I was going to say study, but it sounds like you're plumping for hunt. And
I can do study as well. I think it's just not going to be a great roll, but I can do it.
I think probably in this case, study makes more sense because you specifically said you're going to be looking at documents at maps. So let's study to see what you can find out.
I rolled a 1 and a 6, but I get the 1.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, you still get some information with a 1. So, looking at a map of Dustfall, you see that there is one very, very obvious and almost certainly the route they will take. It starts pretty much from where the factory is, assuming they're going from the ironworks. You have to assume that's where they'd start, which is in the centre-ish of Coalridge, straight through the centre of the city, which is a district called Charter Hall. Charter Hall is the commercial centre of the city. It's where the banks and the city hall and all of that sort of thing is. And basically, there's a straight line road that goes straight through Charter Hall, and then a main road going up into Brightstone. The kind of key features you can find is that at 2 points in this journey, the carriage would be crossing a bridge. That might be interesting information in terms of where there's less sides to come from. One between Coalridge and Charter Hall, and then another one at the end between Charter Hall and Brightstone. What you can't really find out from looking at these maps are, I think there's lots of alleyways and side roads on the map, but with a 1, I think you can't really tell just from looking at this map which would be the best ones for this kind of job. But you do have what you're almost certain is the route. You know it's pretty much a straight shot, but that there are 2 bridges which might be slightly changing how they travel. Who else has something they'd like to try and find out?
Me. So, billhooks are guarding this carriage, but I'm gonna try and figure out who's driving the carriage.
Okay, interesting. How do you want to try and find that out?
I guess if there's any known liveries or stables or whatever where these horses would be rented out from, just to try and weasel my way in there.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I think in Charter Hall, there's probably a place where you can hire a carriage. I think you intuit that the Strangford wouldn't use his like personal carriage that he used for traveling around for something as lowly as a delivery run.
With illegal goods inside.
Yeah, so probably not the one that has his family crest painted on the side. So you kind of make an assumption. Hey, there's a sort of a livery of stables in Charter Hall. Maybe it's run by some of your Severosi associates, and you can head down there and ask around. Are you going for a consort role here?
Yes, I think so.
Lovely.
Okay. 5 and a 6. Let's go.
A 6. Amazing. What information are you trying to find out specifically?
Who specifically is going to be the driver and like what time it's happening at, I guess.
Okay.
And also, can I beat up the driver and take his place?
Can I take the driver's lunch money?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right, I think you head down. I think that, in fact, the person who's there at the front desk when you come in is actually an old buddy of yours from your days running out in expeditions out into the Deathlands. Do you have a name for this person? If not, I can name them.
Trevor.
Okay, they are called Trevor, and they see you and they say, "Oh, Bootleg, good to see ya."
Are my eyes leaving my head right now? Are you're settled down? You're not doing the, laugh anymore?
Yeah, well, after you started making it in the big city, I thought maybe I can do the same.
And you're making it here?
Hey, we're doing pretty big business. We got half the families in the city use our services for any kind of less fancy runs they gotta do, and we also got a lot of the merchants using our carriages. So yeah, we're doing all right.
Yeah, I just remembered. I think it was the second episode, whatever my first downtime was, Bootleg did hire a carriage as part of his luxury downtime.
That's true. I think this is it. I think this is the place that you hire your luxury carriages from. And I think that
friendship disc.
I think that's it. And I think that Trevor is immediately like, "Oh, so did you want to hire another just ride around the city? I can get that."
No, I had my fill. There's a spa, and it's called Max something. It's great.
Oh.
If you ever get the time, it'll fix you right up. But I'm actually here on other business, looking for carriages that are heading out that might not exactly be mine.
I think Trevor will kind of glance around, check there's no other people in earshot, and say, "This wouldn't have something to do with a little delivery run that's happening in a couple nights' time, would it?"
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, just trying to figure out. I won't cause any commotion here, It'll be on the way that an accident might occur.
All right, well, just do your best not to trash one of our carriages, all right?
It's what's inside that counts.
Okay, that's what I've always heard from you, Bootleg.
Of course.
All right, well, let me tell you some things. And Trevor, they will let you know a few things. They'll let you know what time the carriage is set for. It's going to be a little time after dusk, just when it gets really dark. It's set to make its run. They'll also tell you that the driver is supposed to be one of the staff with a 6. It's supposed to be one of the staff of this establishment. But the people who hired this particular carriage were very, very insistent. They wanted one of their own people to drive it. So the arrangement was taken that the staff of this rental place are going to take the carriage down to Coalridge about an hour before, and then the driver is going to take over and take the carriage to its final destination. So I think what you learn is there will be an opportunity for you to know where the carriage is going to be at the time when the driver is supposed to take over.
Sounds good.
All right, well, you don't get yourself into any trouble, all right?
When have I ever?
You rolled a 6, so are there any other follow-up questions you want to ask of Trevor before you head out?
I guess, like, how the carriage itself, like, I'm assuming there's got to be a way to put stuff in there, and it's not going to be like a seating carriage, you know, if it's transporting goods.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how'd the doors work? Is there locks?
Okay. Yeah. Is there locks? I think
there
Trevor's like,
locks?
yeah, there's locks, bootleg. This is, I'm kind of imagining this as being the sort of fantasy carriage equivalent of like an armored van.
Yeah.
So you've
And
got
we stick a portaled mirror under the bottom and
what is that now? You see me? So there's doors on the back of it. There'll be a driver up front. It's actually drawn not by horses but by large imperial goats. Pull a lot of the carriages because they're stockier and heavier. They're almost like oxen, the goats that carry carriages in Dustfall. And those back doors have high quality locks on them. But often the clients will also add some kind of wards of their own making on as well. But Trevor doesn't really know about that side of things. That would be done at the destination.
Yeah. And then I guess, do they know anything about the cargo, or at least the size of the interior that needs to hold the cargo?
I think they'll let you know that it's not a particularly huge carriage. It's not much larger than one that would carry a few people. And they haven't been given any information about what's going in there, but they know that it's going to be something which seemingly people could load on by hand at the time that, you know, before the driver is relieved, they will be loading it up, and then the staff member will leave and the driver will take over.
Sounds good. Me, the player, can't think of any more questions.
That's good. That's
it's
good.
A carriage. Oh.
You know, it's a box on wheels. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
But maybe a very strong box on wheels. So while Bootleg is having this very fruitful conversation, what is Kirsten of the Vale up to?
Kirsten wants to do... Well, I had this idea for a full-on study role. I wanted to do like some industrial research. I want to look into the actual piece of tech itself, with the knowledge of like having seen these hulls in operation in the warehouse that we got into, attuning with the spirits inside. I want to find out as much as I can about what this part might be, how big, whether it has a spirit already attached to it for its travel, or if that's something that happens when the piece is put together. Weak points, you know, how could it be destroyed? Should we want to destroy it? That kind of thing. So I don't know whether I can study that in books, or if I need to do a bit of industrial espionage for this.
Yeah, I think it could definitely be. I'm thinking about your friend Rani. Obviously, you're in her good graces right now after you managed to get her something, and she probably has a bunch of books on all sorts of forbidden occult knowledge that she'd happily let you have a study of if you'd like to go down that route.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
That is a 1 and a 5.
Okay, we're taking the 5?
Taking the 5.
Yes. Lovely. Okay, so you get a good amount of information here. So you were trying to find out what this technology kind of might look like? Is that the main thing? Or what were you sort of hoping to find out?
Size, weaknesses, should we need to destroy it, and whether it has a spirit already bound in it on its travels. I think they're the main kind of things.
Interesting. Okay, with a 5, I think that you spend an amicable evening at Rani's abode. I'm sure she's a lovely host and gets you something to drink as you pore over her books. And you find references to hulls. This technology we've established is currently kind of frowned upon. If illegal, maybe not entirely, but certainly it's very rare for people to have it. But it doesn't seem like it was always this way. And when the technology was first discovered, people were experimenting quite freely with it before the spirit wardens started clamping down and saying, no, this isn't a good use of spirits. So there are references here and there in older tomes to descriptions of what sound like hulls. You seem to gather that within each piece of machinery, once it's built, within whatever kind of frame this hull inhabits, there is a kind of a core, some kind of crystalline core. I'm trying not to just describe the purple crystals from Crash Bandicoot 2. There are these little sort of quartzy crystals which can be mined out of the ground and which have the correct properties to seem to both capture a spirit but also compel it to do a certain thing. And it seems that this is the key item that is needed to create a hull. What you're not able to find in these tomes are the sort of instructions of how to then use it to make one. And I think that's not necessarily what you were looking for right now. So you don't find the technology of how to turn this piece of crystal into a hull, but you get the sense that that's the really key thing, the item that's needed. And so it's probably a good guess that it's some of these that are being transported. Mm-hmm. Since we now know that the ones in the machines aren't working, maybe those have been taken out and are going to be sent up to Brightstone. In terms of weaknesses, you're not entirely sure. I mean, if it's literally just a piece of rock, would smashing it work? Maybe. It seems like what you find is much more about how to make them than how to unmake them. But at the very least, it seems that if you don't have access to these, then you can't make a hull. Your last question was, would they have a spirit bound in them right now? I think that you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell if these particular ones would. Certainly they did at some point, because they were working the machinery in the factories in Coalridge. With a 5, I think that you find some references to it there being a high risk of the spirit escaping if you remove the crystal from its frame and put it somewhere else. So you think, okay, it's pretty likely that these ones don't actually have spirits in them right now, but there's a chance that they might. I think with a 5, you don't get a definite answer on that. You think this could just be a carriage full of rocks that are currently inert. That would be super easy. That sounds nice. Is it going to be that easy? It might be something the dice decide for us. There is a risk that some of them still have spirits bound to them. But there's a high chance that at least some of them are inert.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you find out.
I give a suspicious glance to Rani, because it's a bit, in Kirsten's head, it's a bit like, so if they take inert crystals, then who would Strangford have that could bind spirits to these things? He works closely with the spirit wardens, but the spirit wardens are against this. Or are they? And she's doing this kind of...
Yeah, she's got all the equations saying the spirit wardens are against this, or are they just against people who aren't them doing this? So you've got quite a lot of information between you all here. Is there anything else you'd like to do for the last bit of prep before you take on this assignment?
I think when we get back together into our dining hall, I think Arlo will kind of flatten out the map that he took from the library before and show to the other two. Look, so there's 2 bridges here that I found that we could, and then he goes into like a big ramble, and he's like, we could explode them and then maybe corner them in one area, and then one of us could run into the carriage and I really struggled coming up with a great plan. I don't know.
It's okay. Hang on. but I like the idea of funneling them down a certain area. But we don't necessarily have explosions, but what we do have is a connection in City Hall.
Oh. Yeah.
Get them
I like
stopped
that
at some
idea.
roadworks.
Yes. And then we could explode them.
Then we explode. Yeah, sure.
Good. I think we have a plan now.
Actually, we really can't explode them. It's a good buddy of mine that has the carriage and everything. If we damage that, he's gonna kick my ass.
Oh, okay. We don't want that, of course. Yes.
Yes.
So it sounds, even just from this chat, that you've answered what my next question was going to be, which is what sort of score is this? And it sounds like it might be an assault. You're going to try and bottleneck them somewhere and then take them on along this route. Is that the vibe?
Possibly.
Mm.
Or if we could bottleneck them, like you say, like with roadworks, something that would halt them for a time, could we maybe do a little bit more sneakily with the two of you, like getting underneath the carriage and trying to break in once it takes the...
Yeah, I'm aiming to be in the driver's seat at some point, hopefully. That would be sneaky enough. I don't necessarily...
Yeah, maybe it's a full-on assault. We need to get rid of them and then perhaps deal with it as we pretend to take it further on its journey.
So your first kind of plan here is to try and, it sounds like, use that information you got a hold of, bootleg, to try and get yourself in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
That would be the first part of this. And then, if and when that's happened, the next thing you'd like to try and do is somehow slow down the carriage, bottleneck it, or bring it to a stop. Is that about right?
Yeah, because also a few sessions ago, I did an acquire asset to get a contact at City Hall.
You did. You made friends with Petra, who works at City Hall. Petra is a cohort. What that means is essentially that we roll how strong a tier of gang you are, and how strong a tier of cohort you've acquired. So I made on Roll20, I made a little cohort, so I don't have to remember the numbers because I can just click now. I can click roll for Petra, and then I can see what Roll20 tells me. Okay, we rolled a 5. So you're going to have some success with this, but with a consequence.
Okay.
Okay, so Petra, I think, gets a note to you to let you know that there's been a work order. Which bridge did you want to try and slow them down at? Was it a bridge at all? Where along the route were you going to try and slow them down?
Arlo, you're the man with the map. You're the man with the plan.
I like Arlo's bridge idea.
Yeah. I also like the bridge idea. Of course, that's why I thought of it. Yes.
So do you want to go for the bridge at the start or towards the end of the journey?
I think probably towards the end of the journey would get the most distance. Like,
tire out everybody from walking that far. They can't fight us. They've been walking all night.
That's true.
Although it would put us closer to the spirit wardens as well at the destination.
You're right, Mother. Yes. Then no, we should go for the first one. That's also the first thought that I had, but then bootleg made me question myself.
I put a hand on your hand and pat it.
We'll go for the first bridge.
We're going for the bridge out of Coalridge. That makes sense. I like your thought that, Brightstone is a more affluent and protected area. There's probably spirit wardens there. It's also worth noting, and you all would know this, that the base of operations for the spirit wardens is in Charter Hall. So you are kind of going through the center of spirit wardens territory during this. You're never going to be too far from where spirit wardens could show up. But yes, so Petra lets you know, there's been a request for some repairs on that bridge out of Coalridge for absolutely months and months. So she's going to try and do what she can to push that through. I think I'm not going to tell you what the drawback is just now, but she's going to try and arrange for there to be some roadworks on the charter hall, the further end of that bridge for you.
Don't worry, the drawback is the little fruit basket she's gonna send me has mangoes in it, and I hate mangoes.
Finally, something that made me really just not sympathise with bootleg. How dare you? Mangoes are delicious. All right. So it sounds like you've done what prep you can. What kind of loadout are you each bringing for this particular score? Light, medium, or heavy?
Light, as always.
I think light also, if I'm just being a little driver boy.
Okay.
I think it's the heavy load for me once again.
Okay, lovely. With that decided, and a vague outline of at least how the plan starts, we can go to our engagement roll. So we always start with 1 for luck. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? Yeah, you're trying to take on some pretty powerful people here. Is it overly complex? No. One nice thing about the Silver Spectres plans, never that complex. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target? Yes, because you are going to try and basically get rid of the driver and replace them with one of your own. Is the target strong against this approach? Do they have particular defenses for preparations? Also, yes, they have special preparations for this mission. Did your friends provide aid? Yes. Are enemies or rivals interfering? Well, you're going up against enemies or rivals, but I wouldn't say there's an additional cohort interfering, so I'll say no to that. Alright, so we've ended up with 3 dice that we're going to roll for this engagement roll.
3 6s. Watch it.
3 6s, baby, let's go. I need to find a place to roll these. I've got a very small desk. Your result was a 4. So, that's pretty okay. You're going to start in a risky position when we jump into the action, which is right now. It is a couple nights after you received those letters, and this kind of nice-looking, large carriage being pulled by 2 very well-groomed and burly goats is crossing the bridge into Coalridge. The driver is not someone you recognise, one of Trevor's colleagues, but she kind of keeps her head low and focuses on just efficiently getting the carriage to the ironworks factory before dusk. The carriage arrives, and she sits in position, waiting for everything to be loaded up before she hands over the reins, quite literally, to one of the people who are standing here, loading some pretty nondescript-looking crates into the back of the carriage. And somewhere in this scene in Coalridge, the Silver Spectres are waiting.
Oh boy. Yeah, I do want to try to approach Miss Driver.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to politely ask, can we do a swapsies? I think I'll just be like, hey, I know this is an important thing tonight, but Trevor did ask me to send you back. He's got something going on. Something with, I think it's one of the goats, and he said you're the best person for the job.
Was it Betsy? Was it Betsy again?
Yeah, it was a B name. He mentioned it
God.
must be Betsy.
Okay, roll me a sway.
Okay. 5.
5, okay. I'm just gonna say, Betsy's always eating things she shouldn't eat.
You know how goats are.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. You're good to just take this job, is that okay?
Yeah. He briefed me on the route beforehand. I just got these guys basically know the route anyway, so.
Oh my gosh.
Sitting pretty.
Okay, that's great. I'll just I'll get a gondolier to take me by the canals back. Thank you. And she jumps off the carriage and runs off and leaves you in control. That was very easy.
It's all gonna be smooth sailing from here.
You climb up and you hear the back of the carriage kind of close and lock. And then a big burly chap with a meat hook tattoo on his bicep comes around and looks up.
Oh, I'm disguised. I put on a flat cap. Disguise.
Gask has now swapped the Stetson for a flat cap to really bring the magical theatre to life here. Okay, yeah, the this particular person does not seem to recognize you, or is not really looking at you hard enough to recognize you in this moment. But he takes you for the driver from the rental place and says, "All right, I can take over from here."
You sure, sir? You don't know these goats as well as I do, and they're a bit temperamental.
Yep, that was the agreement.
If you want, I can
follow
just
on.
sit on the side. You can drive, and I'll just be sitting here making sure nothing goes, awry.
He folds his arms, and you get the distinct impression he's practiced folding his arms in a way that makes his biceps look as huge as possible. And he says, "You hand over the reins to me. That was the agreement."
Yes, of course, the reins, but I mean, we're just trying to make sure these guys get back in one piece.
So that was your consequences. You got control, but they still think you're the person who's supposed to be giving them control.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to do us another sway, it sounds like, to try and convince this guy to let you drive.
Yeah. Does this count for my cloak and dagger skill?
You're in disguise?
To target, deflect suspicion.
I mean, it's a very confusing accent to come out of Bootleg's mouth. Yes, deflecting suspicion. I think you're trying to do that.
It was a panicked response.
I love it. No, it's very good. Don't get me wrong.
5 again. Oof.
Okay. So you're trying to convince him to let you stay on the cart next to him while he drives, is that right?
Yeah, like I'm riding shotgun.
Okay. Yeah, I think that you do. I mean, I know you do it. That's a 5. You do it, but there's a consequence. So he climbs up next to you, and he says, "Fine, I don't have time to argue. Your employer will be hearing words. If you move a muscle, I will shove you off this cart." So essentially, your consequence is that this guy is going to let you stay because he just can't be bothered arguing, but he does not trust you, and he's going to be watching you like a hawk. So anything you try to do, is at least at first, is going to be trickier.
You got it, sir.
So, with that first little obstacle seamlessly done by your colleague, I think that the carriage starts off on its journey. The goats begin to head towards Charter Hall. The driver does not make any small talk with you, Bootleg, but if you sort of glance around, you can see that there are a couple of other billhooks sort of riding on the carriage on the outside. Like there's a couple on the how do you say it? Like the little platform at the back of carriages, the little step you can put your feet up on. A couple of them are riding, standing on there. One's kind of hanging off the side, trying to look cool, and occasionally jumps down when his arms get tired and just walks. And you get the sense that there might be more people around that aren't on the carriage that are just escorting. But the movement begins. And where are Arlo and Harpy at this time?
Do you have an idea, Mother?
I would figure, correct me if you think this is incorrect. Bootleg, would you say that we were probably like in position at the place which you are hoping to bring this to a halt, so that we can be kind of hidden and ready to?
Yeah.
Or do you think, had we planned to kind of like try and take guards out earlier before we get there?
I mean, that's up to you, because Bootleg can definitely cause a distraction now, but I feel like that could just involve a slippery slope where we end up fighting everyone there before we do the actual distraction later on.
In our plan, in our mind's eye, I think we think that Bootleg has got control of the carriage.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be driving it. So Arlo and I would be hiding by the first of these bridges, ready to do the whole kind of ambush,
Okay. Are you... Oh, sorry, carry on.
Well, that's all. Well, I was going to sort of just say, I think Arlo has been a little bit worried about Kirsten over the last week. She's had this fever ever since the kind of near possession. Well, she is possessed, but since Leopold nearly sort of took over, even now her skin is very hot to the touch. She's usually quite calm and focused during these periods, but I think while they've been hunkered down hiding, she keeps muttering to herself, fidgeting, and so she's not her seemingly collected self.
I think once Arlo notices this happening again, he will also kind of turn over to you in the darkened spot that we're hiding in, and he will look at you very sternly and say, "Are you all right, Mother? Are you sure you can do this? I don't want you to get hurt."
Of course I can do it. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. It was very ignorant of me to ask. Sorry, I was overstepping.
I apologize.
I'm just very worried about you. You've done so much in these past weeks, and I just wouldn't know what to do without you if something were to happen. So forgive me for overstepping. I'm just very worried.
I'll take your hands. I'm sorry, Arlo. But you do not need to be worried. You are strong and courageous, and you do not need me. I will not always be here. You can perfectly look after yourself.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I want you to be there. Oh, I think that's the carriage. Okay. Did he give us a signal?
Why is there someone on the carriage with him?
I don't know. That wasn't planned, right? Oh God. What should I do? Should I run in front of it and pretend to get in an accident?
So I think we had at least planned that bootleg would cause the initial distraction. Is that right?
Okay, I think that's fine. You have this conversation. You remember, okay, no, I think the plan was that bootleg was going to slow down the carriage first. And as you're sort of watching from this little spot where you've secreted yourself, you have noticed that there are indeed some roadworks going on here on the Charter Hall side of the bridge. Some of the main street has been kind of dug up, and it being nighttime now, it has of course been left, but is still blockaded off, as is the way with roadworks, that even though there's no work going on, the street has been narrowed to a single lane. What you weren't so much hoping for is standing at this single lane, directing the traffic, are a couple of uniformed bluecoats. And as you spot that, let's go to a little break. Let's have a drink of water, let's have a little stretch of our limbs, and let's ponder how we're going to deal with that little complication from Petra's role. And we will see you in a few minutes.
Cheerio!
Oh.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that short break, but let's get right back into it because things are really just getting started over here with the score. We have spotted two bluecoats who look honestly kind of bored. They seem to have drawn the short straw tonight and are directing traffic, so there's not a collision at this narrowing of the exit of the bridge. But there you see them, Bootleg, as you ride shotgun on this carriage. Do you do anything, or do you just kind of watch and see what happens next?
Absolutely. I am going to use my trance powder, which is in italics so it doesn't take up a load, on the driver beside me.
Okay! Incredible. Let's call that I think I'm gonna call that a skirmish roll, unless you want to argue for it being something else.
Can I use my new playbook move, Rook's Gambit? I take 2 stress to roll my best action rating while performing a different action.
Absolutely you can. What are you gonna make it instead?
Sway.
Incredible.
Look, what's that?
No, my finger!
Oh my goodness. This is not a mandatory rule, but I always like to play it that I love to hear the explanation, the justification for how
Yes,
you are
no more
making
fingers.
it fantastic. Is that what it is? Are we going with that?
No, I oh my god!
I'll let it happen if that's what you want it to be.
How do you talk someone into sniffing trans powder? Or
I guess that's a question for you.
yeah,
Do you like clowns?
yeah. I think it's trying to like persuade him to look over in my direction in a surprised way to like real quick.
Oh, okay, so it's more like the sway is just to get him to look at you so you can.
Yeah, like
powder.
shit. What's that?
Okay, love that. Let's roll
Stop my
the
finger.
sway for this attack.
Okay, this does this count as misdirection?
I think I'm not going to let you stack the abilities. So
Yeah, that's
we'll say
fair.
it's just the sway.
Okay, and I added my 2 stress. Can't forget that.
Of course.
Big money! 2 5s.
Okay.
I'm rolling 5s up the wazoo today.
So you are crossing this bridge. You see the traffic cops up ahead. You say, "Hey, what's that?" And this powder straight into the driver's face. And it works. He is, well, actually, he just drops straight unconscious.
And then
he-
immediately Bootleg causes some kind of commotion like, shit, he's down! Someone help!
Interesting. Okay, so my consequence was going to be that it draws attention, but you actually wanted it to draw attention.
Yes.
Okay, so he actually he flops off of the carriage even, and he's a pretty hefty guy, so it makes a large thunk. And you start yelling and hollering like, shit, somebody help! And immediately these 2 blue coats come running up. So that's what I'm going to have as a consequence. Is you've drawn the
Officers, can you
attention of
help him?
witnesses. And they are going to run up, and this is the first time they've got to do some pushing people around all night. This is great. So the first one is going to stop and be like, well, hello, what do we got going on here then?
I don't know, he just keeled over. Maybe he had too much of the, tonight.
Are you saying you were allowing somebody to drive one of these vehicles inebriated?
I wasn't. He was threatening me earlier, saying I wasn't allowed to be here even.
You were being threatened by this gentleman?
Yes! It must have been some,
All right. Could you just step down, please, sir? Step down from the vehicle.
Sure.
All right, you step down from the vehicle. You have stopped. You haven't even reached the roadworks yet. You've stopped on the bridge. At this time of night, there's not much traffic, so there's no one piling up behind you just yet. But you do note that the 2 gang members who are hanging on the back of the carriage are looking at you very hard now that you're in more full view. Let's hop over to your comrades. You see all of this going down. You see the thunk of the driver. You hear Bootleg making a racket in a very unusual accent, but you know Bootleg doing one of Bootleg's classic voices anywhere, I think. And you see the cops go running towards him. What do you 2 do now?
Quick geography. So they're already on the bridge.
I'm picturing, yeah, they're on the bridge. They're close to where you all are, but they're still on the bridge currently.
Could we have been hiding sort of almost like under the bridge at the point at which the carriage would eventually come out? So like the last bit.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I can imagine, sometimes on canals there's little footsteps down to a lower walkway. So maybe you were on those staircases coming up to where the road is.
So perhaps I might just look at you, Arlo, and say, son, quickly, while there's distraction, go and help Bootleg.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm saying it, like there's a distracting kind of sound, like almost like the crackling of flames coming from somewhere, but you can't see any fire.
Mm-hmm. I think I notice it, but then I just do what you say and I run towards the carriage and try to make myself smaller so that I'm not seen immediately. And I try to get to a point where Bootleg can see me, but ideally where no one else can.
Okay, so you're definitely trying to sneak here. So let's have a prowl roll for you to try and get not noticed.
All right, that's not gonna work. No, I rolled a 2.
Oh, okay. I think that you come charging towards this situation. You are in the shadows, but both of these blue coats are on high alert now because there's a lot happening. So the one who was not talking to Bootleg immediately clocks you and is just whoa there, and she pulls out a firearm. And she points the gun right at you.
I lift my hands like this. Like, no, stop. I saw a burglary over there happening, and I was trying to get some help.
Wow, roll me a sway.
I'm also really bad at that.
I love Arlo's commitment to doing things he's not good at.
If only you had
If only you'd said something slightly different, because something is happening behind you right now.
Oh. I will add to that. 1 second. So I rolled a 2. Another one. So I will go. Did I say burglary? I mean, there's a fire.
Okay, all right. Enough out of you. She does not believe you. She has you up against a wall, and she has got you basically stuck right where you are right now, Arlo. You're not going to be able to do anything for a minute because she's not listening to a word you're saying.
But maybe that's the chance for Kirsten's fire to go ablaze.
Maybe it is. Kirsten, was there something about fire happening back there?
Kirsten hasn't emerged yet, but I think if the blue coat is facing Arlo, she's now looking in the direction excuse me, of that side of the bridge. And I think this sort of this sound of crackling is rising in volume. You can't see any flame, but black smoke is starting to sort of billow up around from underneath the bridge and just sort of swamp and envelop the edges of the bridge and start to cloud around it, as if there is a fire going on underneath the bridge.
Okay.
But for that to happen, I think, in order to enact my thing, I need to push myself. Is that correct?
I think you will. And are you hoping that this will draw the blue coats away?
The main effect of this, the main attempt, is that over the next few rounds or whatever, Kirsten is attempting to create a thick veil of black smoke at that end of the bridge, so that should they ever wrest hold of the carriage, we can race through it and it'll be a smoke screen. But for now, sure, any kind of distraction also is useful.
Okay, so for now it's mostly setting up.
Yes.
Then I think you can simply push yourself, because for the benefit of our lovely audience, Kirsten hasn't started a fire. That would be very foolish. But she has made what a fire would make appear, seemingly through her own power. Interesting new skill that you've acquired there, Kirsten of the Vale.
Fire.
So that black smoke starts creeping into the edge of the bridge, and I think that the blue coat with a gun pointed at Arlo sees that and just kind of mutters, "What the fuck now?" But she's too focused on Arlo right now because you rolled a 2, so she's staying on you. Bootleg, what are you doing in this chaos that you have started?
Look, we have a delivery to make, so just if you could take care of him, make sure he gets somewhere safe. I can take the carriage with these fellas, and we'll be on our way.
This blue coat is going to say, right, yeah, delivery. So do you have the papers?
Yes, obviously, documents.
Okay. So you're going to show the forged documents that you always have on you. Because
crayon.
I can do what I want.
You have your "I can do what I want" note on you. That's a perfectly reasonable thing for you to have brought for this when you knew you were going to try and take over as driver. I am going to ask you to sway one more time.
You got it.
I think that your documents are going to boost you, but the fact there's so much going on is going to bring you down, so we'll just do a standard roll for this. Risky standard.
And this doesn't count as a disguise thing, does it?
I don't think so on this occasion.
Okay. Gotta ask.
You gotta ask.
6 and a 1, but we got the 6!
Okay, amazing. So you show these documents, and I think this blue coat is just sort of distracted. There's someone on the ground. Their colleague is now yelling at a complete unrelated person and pointing a gun. I don't know what's going on over there.
Who that guy is?
What's going on over there? He doesn't really bother to read these documents very closely because it's just chaos. He just glances at them and he's like, right, fine, just go. What am I supposed to do with him? Points to the passed out guy.
I mean, I don't know where he's from, so I guess just leave him on the side of the street and see when he wakes up.
Oh my god. He kind of just sighs and then just like waves you on. He hasn't even really clocked the fact that there appears to be a fire. Who knows what he's going to do then. But right now, he's preoccupied with trying to get the bridge moving, so he's going to let you go.
Goodbye, sir. Have a good night.
I was. Arlo, this blue coat has really just focused her stress on you right now. Are you just staying put, or are you going to try and do something about this situation?
I think I still have my hands like lifted up like this while she's pointing the gun at me, and I say again, I mean, haven't you noticed the smoke? There's a fire. Isn't this your job to alert the public to concerns? Something like this?
Okay. I don't even think you need to roll for that. I think that's a pretty good distraction because you're telling the truth. You're just saying there's a fire over there. So she looks and she just, oh fuck, and she lowers her gun. She doesn't leave. She stays looking at you, but she's clocked the fire now. She's no longer actively threatening you. Kirsten, are you doing anything else down at the edge of the bridge?
Well, I'm happy to play this however you feel, but what I really want to do is build a big smoke screen for this carriage to ride through eventually. So if it means spending a bit more time, like I want this sort of black smoke to really be billowing around the end of the bridge, so that when we pass through it, it kind of covers our tracks.
All right, Bootleg, are you going to drive into this cloud of smoke?
Yes.
Amazing.
So if the carriage is like coming forward, then I think she will kind of because to get up onto the carriage, like emerge from this smoke, kind of like wisps of it billowing around her, getting ready to jump up as it comes.
Fantastic. Yeah, I say that we can do that. Bootleg, you bring the carriage into this billowing cloud of smoke.
Bit foggy, lads.
The guards who were riding on the back are now gonna jump down as you. Do you stop the carriage? Sorry, once you get into the smoke, or are you just driving through?
No, Bootleg's pretending it's fog and that it's normal.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just carrying
even
on.
though it's clearly not.
Yeah.
Bootleg's
I
like,
think
"This is
Kirsten would
fine."
probably hiss, like, keep going. Just in case.
Okay, so Kirsten, have you jumped up onto the carriage?
I'd like to, but yeah, I've kind of almost forgotten the hooks are there, aren't they? What's Arlo? I take it Arlo's got to get up onto the carriage as well, right?
Yeah, there's a few things here we need to resolve. So I think firstly, Kirsten, I'm going to allow you to just get up onto the carriage because I think that it doesn't really merit a roll. It's not going fast. You can climb up. But it's not going to go unnoticed by the two guards who are also riding the carriage, unless you want to try a prowl roll to do it completely unseen.
Okay, so I figured like I'm at the edge of the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, maybe like try to use that as a slight way of hiding and climbing up. Let's give it a go. We'll give a prowl.
Let's give it a go.
5.
A 5. Okay. Then, yes, you jump up onto... do you go up onto the front seat next to Bootleg or onto the side? Sorry.
I think that's probably the easiest way to avoid them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
all right, so you jump up onto the driver's seat, and they don't notice you. And I think that's because you are dressed head to toe in black, and you filled this place with black smoke. They can't see you, which buys you a moment. However, as you're doing this, you hear a voice bootlegging Kirsten from the back of the carriage saying, "Stop this right now! Stop the carriage! What the fuck is going on?" And
You want to stop?
Faster, bootleg.
so the guards are gonna jump down and run around in front and just like take a hold of the goats, who have gone pretty slowly now that they're surrounded by smoke. They're just gonna take a hold and force the carriage to stop, at least for a moment. And while that's happening, Arlo, are you going to make a break for it? What are you going to do?
Yes, I was going to make a break for it as soon as the lady turned her back to me, and I would have tried to run into the smoke directly.
Okay.
And ideally, I would have liked to kind of intercept the guards that were jumping down from the carriage, or at least one of them.
Ooh. Okay, all right, I love that. Give me a prowl to just leg it and tackle one of these guards.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't I put anything in prowl and all of it in skirmish?
Well, actually, you know
What's the
what?
difference between prowl and skirmish again?
I could say it can be skirmish because you're running specifically to attack someone. You can roll a skirmish. I think that's fair.
All right. Yes. That's a 6.
Okay. You distract this woman for a moment, saying, "There's a fire," and she looks at it, and then she just sees you leg it, and she tries to chase you. She's got her colleague shouting at her to come that way, and she loses sight of you in the smoke as you barrel directly into one of these billhooks and knock him down. Meanwhile, the other one now is a little retroactive change there. He's now alone, trying to hold on to both goats, and it's like, what the fuck is going? Who are you? Who are you?
I'm the driver.
You're not Eric. You're not Eric. What have you done with Eric?
I don't know who Eric is. I've got the papers, though.
I think Kirsten might whisper to you, bootleg, keep him talking, and I'm going to slide back down off the seat onto the floor and make my way through the smoke towards this guard.
What, did you think there was 2 people here?
You're not one of the fucking gang.
Yeah, but I'm one of the goat drivers.
They are baffled by this, but I think to keep them talking and not just lose patience with you, let's have a roll.
Bootleg is absolutely leaning into the bafflement part.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, this counts as confusing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, what am I rolling here?
I mean, I think you've been doing a lot of swaying, but I think this is another sway. You're just trying to keep up the deception and confuse them, so.
Yep. 1, 2, and a 5.
5.
Thank you, 5 again. You're my hero, 5.
Okay, you do it. So you are going to succeed in keeping them talking. So this person does not notice Kirsten sliding away into the darkness. The issue is that by keeping him talking, you have run out the limits of this person's intellect. And when he runs out of intellect, he goes to violence. So he is going to pull out a knife, and he is going to cut one of the goats free and just let it leave. And he's going to hold on to the other one and say, "We're not going anywhere until I figure out what the hell is going on and the others get here."
We're not going anywhere with just one goat.
Let's jump over to what Kirsten's doing.
So Kirsten slid down from the seat, and while that was going on, she was making her way through the smoke as quickly as she could in the direction of his voice. And I'm going to start like coughing and come spluttering, like maybe into his vision if I don't know how close he can see me through this smoke, but I'm going to do the poor old lady act to start with. I'm like, "Please, sir, please help me. The fire below," and fall into him slightly.
Sorry, who is this to?
So this is so Arlo's got one of them, is that right?
Yes.
And so I'm approaching the one that's engaging with bootleg.
The one who's holding the goat.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one, he's holding the goat attached to the carriage by the reins. He's holding the other goat who he's just cut loose and then grabbed onto, and now a woman has collapsed onto him.
Yeah.
So let's do there's a few things this could be. This could be a sway. This could be a skirmish. You could see that this collapses an attack. What do you want to try and go for here?
I sort of don't care. I just
Ooh.
want to be close to him. I'm almost fine with him being aggressive and taking hold of me.
Okay.
But the point of it is that I
Interesting.
just want to sort of fall at him. So yeah, however.
All right. It sounds like the thing about this isn't really to knock him down or anything. It's to trick him. So let's go with a sway roll for this.
That's a 5 and a 6, so I get the 5.
Oh, okay.
Love 5s.
Oh, it's been a game of
5.
5s.
You collapse onto this man. He is holding 2 goats, so it kind of can't really stop you from doing that. But he is not thrilled, and he is going to basically he's losing his patience here. He is like, "You get off me, lady, or you will regret it." And the consequence here is that this guy is ready to do some violence, and so you are now in a desperate situation. You are hanging on to an armed man who doesn't want you to be hanging on to him. So anything you roll next will be desperate.
Okay. So I look at him through the veil and I whisper, "You know what they say, where there's smoke." And Kirsten suddenly erupts in flames, like her veils, her gowns. But like, while I'm hugging him, so I want him to be like enveloped in the flames.
Oh my god.
Get away from the goats, though.
We'll get
We'll get to the goat. It depends how we roll,
we'll
won't
get to
it?
the goats. We'll see what the dice say about the goats. You're gonna roll. Well, it could be a skirmish. You're attacking. We could say it's an attune because you're using your tempest ability. So I imagine you'd want to do a tune.
Yeah, so I have to push myself. So that's 2 stress.
You do.
I use a tune. Can I feel this is important. Can I take a devil's bargain maybe?
Oh, okay. A devil's bargain. This is supernatural fire. This is not just a real fire. So this is going to draw the attention of the spirit wardens, and I will start a clock for the spirit wardens getting here.
Go on.
Okay. Spirit wardens arrive. You go ahead and roll me that attune.
That is a 1, a 3, and a 6.
6. All right, lovely. So I've started a clock for the spirit wardens, but I've not filled in any ticks on it yet because you rolled a 6. So I think that this is just the fact that at some point they're going to be notified to this, but they haven't picked up on it yet. You erupt into flames, and it is terrible and violent and awful, and this man does not survive what you have done. Oddly, these goats are completely unfazed. Maybe animals can sense what's real fire and what isn't, or maybe there's a reason that these carriages are the best in Dustfall.
Trevor's goats are built different.
They really
That's
are.
a slogan.
They just kind of calmly stand there, impassively, goat eyes reflecting the flames, watching this nasty man burn, and they seem okay with it.
It's because they're really the devil.
I was gonna say yes.
Arlo, you tackled a man, and your mother's on fire. How's things going?
I'm doing very well. I think I look at my mother catching on fire, and my eyes just grow very wide, and then a very small smile starts going over my face, and then I just say, "My mother is just so cool." And then I turn the guy's head to the other side. Not that I'm trying to kill him, but I'm just going to try to make him look away, and then I just put some manacles on him very quickly, which I have with me. And then I'm going to catch up with the carriage very easily.
Okay.
Very
So-
easily.
Very easily. Very easily.
Now that everything has been
Manifest it, baby.
exactly.
Okay. So you all now have a moment to breathe. What you will be breathing is smoke. You're still very close to the two blue coats. You're still very close to where a lot of stuff has gone down quite quickly, which is going to draw attention. So you have the opportunity to reattach the goat that he cut free and start moving again. Or you can potentially take the opportunity to try and loot the carriage while no one's around. Or you can do something else. What do you think you're going to do now?
I think we should do maybe a little option A and a little option B at the same time. Like while it's stopped, try and get it open, but also while retying the goat.
Yeah.
Like-
Okay.
I think get us out of here as quick as you can, bootleg, but like indicating for Arlo to get to the back door and just see what he can muscle.
You got it.
Yeah, I think I'll jump on this little the little step that you described earlier that is behind the carriage, and I'll try to. How are the doors of the carriage looking? Are they closed by a lock or something, or?
They are closed, and there is a pretty obvious padlock holding the doors closed. That's the only thing you can see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think then while we're taking off, I'd try to maybe use some of my burglary gear and try to what's the word? Like snap the lock open with a snapping tool.
Yeah, like bolt cutters.
A bolt cutter, thank you.
Just for flavour, just because I have literally remembered this too late, can Kirsten suddenly remember the wards and go, Arlo?
Absolutely. If you're using burglary tools, this could be a tinker, or if you're breaking the lock, it could be a wreck. I will leave up to you.
I think I'll use a rack, even though my tinker is better, but I think it's more aggressive how I'm doing it.
I think it is more of a wreck. Love that.
It's a 2.
Oh, Arlo. Your mother tried to warn you just a moment too late as you close these bolt cutters on the lock, and you are zapped by some kind of electroplasmic energy. You're going to take just level 1 harm. Just level 1 harm as you get zapped. And you are going to fall backwards off the carriage.
No.
And as this all is happening, you hear the dry caws of the Death Seeker crows. Giant crows bred by the spirit wardens to lead them to where a soul has been killed, so that they can collect its spirit before it runs free. So I am marking 2 ticks on the spirit warden clock.
You couldn't have just
just
lightly
one.
singed him, no?
First time.
Oh, and Kirsten, I forgot to mention, but don't forget you can mark an XP for the Desperate Attune roll.
Oh yes, thank you.
So, what do you all do next?
So Arlo is just on the floor, kind of like getting electrocuted every few seconds or so. I think he will probably yell out a very, very tiny "help!"
Oh,
I think, is it fair to say if Kirsten had sort of just suddenly remembered, they probably would have heard the slight bang and the thud. So
I think so.
yeah, bootleg, pull up and just sort of jump down if we come to a stop.
Oh, are the goats all retied now and everything?
Yeah, I don't think you need to roll for that. I think it's fair to say you can have reattached the things.
Oh, I was going to
Oh,
tie
sure,
them out
so-
using my sway roll.
I'd forgotten that, so we might not even have been moving. Is that...
I can support the idea that you sweet talk the goat into letting you retie him.
You listen to me, good, you son bitch.
So yeah, I think you haven't moved very far, if at all. You're still kind of close to the bridge at this point. But you can have moved a little bit further along. I think it's fair that that would have happened in the time.
I think I'll hurry to Arlo, try to help him not very. He's so much bigger and heavier than me, but try to help him back onto the carriage, and I'll be sort of like calling to Bootleg. We'll figure out the door once we're somewhere safer.
You got it, boss. Yep.
Okay, so you all continue onwards through the center of Charter Hall. It is nighttime. It's pretty late now, in fact. There are still people about, because this is the commercial center of the city, so there's always people about. But for at least a little while, you are not particularly bothered by anyone. You probably feel a little bit of dread as you go close to Bellwether Crematorium, the HQ of the Spirit Wardens, where the death bell is ringing out in response to the death that has occurred this night. But you can make it to somewhere to pull up, maybe on a side alley, somewhere in Charter Hall, before you reach the bridge into Brightstone. And what do you want to do now that you've got yourself into a slightly more controlled position?
Firstly, would Kirsten have any idea whether Arlo's attack on the lock and the ward going off, would that have dispensed with the ward, or is it permanent? Would it still be there?
Oh, interesting. Well, it seems like it set off a ward that was on the padlock, but what you don't know is whether that's the only thing.
Okay.
So even if it did disperse the one on the padlock, you wouldn't know just from looking sort of normally whether there's anything else there.
Arlo, I think the padlock is safe to open, but I will try to assess this door, perhaps.
Sure. I think it's best if you do it, Mother. I'm so sorry. I'm just such a disappointment to you. And I think Arlo is kind of slumped over and almost a little bit teary-eyed.
I think I sort of squat down to you, put a hand on your shoulder. Arlo, do you think I have the strength to take this lock off? You can do it.
Yeah, whatever you say, Mother. And then I walk over, or I climb over to the door again, and I try to open it a second time.
Bang.
And I brace myself for a second explosion.
Okay.
While this is happening, I'm just gonna say Bootleg is keeping watch, I guess, from where we've parked, just to figure out if they're being followed or if anyone's approaching.
Okay. That's sensible. So are we going to go with Arlo trying the lock again?
Yeah, while I will be, I guess, doing a tune to see if I can spot any further wards on the door itself, or...
Okay. I think it makes sense that you would do that first, probably.
Sure. Yeah.
Narratively. So let's resolve your attune first.
It's just funnier the other way around.
I mean, I can do it the other way around, but it might be a bit predictable what happens if you roll badly.
Already has the bolt cutters like in position before you kind of push him away and go, no, wait, let me check this out first.
That's 2 5s. It is a game of 5s.
It really is a game of 5s.
Five.
Okay. So you attune to the carriage, and you are able to see in the ghost field these kind of invisible runes that have been drawn by somebody with similar skill set to yourself. And you can see that indeed it was a pretty, what's the word? Like a pretty simplistic rune. This is somebody who was probably relying more on just the fact that there was a bunch of toughened gang thugs around than magical means. So it did in fact just disperse with that one shock, and as far as you can tell there's no other runes guarding this thing, and it should be safe now to attempt to open.
Okay. Sub-question.
Go ahead.
As I'm attuned, can I tell whether the thing inside is inert or does it have a spirit?
Ooh, I like that question. I'll just let you know that your consequence for the 5 is just that this is taking a little bit of time, and the spirit wardens are getting closer. The crows are still flying overhead. Some have lingered where the death happened, but some seem to be following you.
It's fine.
Can you see much of what's inside? You should be able to, because there's nothing warding the carriage particularly. So you do get a sense of these strange crystals. You immediately sense, yes, even if they are quote, inert. They don't currently have a spirit locked into them. They are still extremely powerful artifacts. These have undergone extensive rituals and magics to get them to where they are. And you can tell that there's a number of them. I'm going to say about a dozen or so that you can count. Some of them, a couple do seem to have a slightly stronger signature, but you're not entirely sure from this distance if that means there's a spirit in that one or it's just this one's bigger and stronger. You'd probably have to get inside and really get a good look at them.
I think Kirsten's skin is almost on fire right now. Given the power that she's used for the first time and attuning, she's extremely uncomfortable, and she sort of falls back and almost gasps at Arlo. It's safe. Cut the lock off.
I extend my hand a little bit and try to support you while you fall back, and then I'll stabilize you and use the bolt cutters next to open the lock.
Okay. And again, you can go with Tinker or Wreck here.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. This is a 6.
Okay. They're easy enough. You
Better
get the
than a
lock
game of
off.
5s.
Game of 6s, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
You get the doors opened on this carriage, and you look inside, and there is, as expected, about a dozen pretty plain wooden crates, which you can intuit each one is housing one of these strange rocks. Magic rocks. You have access to them now. What do you all do?
What was the result of Bootleg keeping an eye out? Has he spotted these crows, for example?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
Bootleg, you definitely would see that there's a couple of these huge crows that seem to be have now sort of landed on some tall buildings a little ways away and are definitely watching you. And you all live in Dustfall. You know what these crows are. You know that means that the Spirit Wardens are on the trail of something.
We've already been spotted.
Okay. Well, we're not gonna lose them in a carriage.
Are the lids of these crates like nailed down?
Yes, but I don't think it would be any particular challenge for Arlo to get into one. You already know from checking that there's nothing particularly warding them, it's just a box.
Perhaps there are crystals inside here. Perhaps we just take those and deal with this on foot. It's easy to hide.
Can we carry all of them?
I don't know,
We
Michelle.
Probably
is it-
shouldn't leave any behind.
So, a carriage was required to carry these.
Yeah.
However, I think it's totally possible that maybe you arranged with somebody to meet you to help you carry things. This could be something you could spend a flashback on. You could have had some kind of plan for how you were going to transport them if there were too many to carry. Because I think realistically 12 boxes you wouldn't be able to carry between the three of you with your remaining load slots.
Flashback, while I was with Trevor, I asked to hire another carriage at a rendezvous point.
It's the car
Okay.
swap. Oh.
Okay, I love this. Yes, you did. I'm gonna ask. This is gonna either be 2 stress or it's gonna be a coin that it cost you.
I have 0 coin, so I will take the 2 stress, please.
Okay. The stress represents the amount of convincing you had to do to get Trevor to let you borrow a carriage for something which is clearly crimes.
Yeah,
But
little crimes, I swear. Tiny crimes. Won't even end up in the newspaper crimes, I swear.
but they are there. They pull up just as you're watching these crows land nearby. And you're pretty nearby to where the carriage started from at this point. And they kind of hop down and they say, "So, how much did you damage my carriage?"
Not even a little. Well, one person damaged the straps on the goat, but I managed to tie it back up.
Are the goats okay?
Yeah, what are you fucking feeding those things?
That's Elena's secret. She'd never forgive me if they got hurt. And
Yeah, you know
they go
what?
over and pat the goats.
I'm probably better not knowing.
Arlo,
Yes, mother.
are you feeling like a good shot this evening?
Well, I was, and then I wasn't, but maybe for you I can try to be.
She just slowly turns and looks in the direction of the crows.
I think Arlo will take out his. What does he have? Does he have a rifle, probably, or something that he can shoot with?
There's a machine gun.
I'm gonna just press pause on the scene here. I think harm to animals might have been in our safety document, so I just want to check in if everybody's comfortable with continuing with trying to shoot a crow.
That is very true.
If anyone is not comfortable, I'm gonna give it 2 minutes for you to just type to Darcy or myself directly. I'm not okay with this. But otherwise, if no one does, then I'll assume that means it's okay. I'm personally fine with it, but
I'm gonna say I'm fine with shooting the crows.
The evil magic crows.
Me too. They seem more like surveillance cameras to me.
They're drones.
Yeah, I would never have harmed the goats. They would have either run away
Yeah.
or been in passive hell beasts, and I'm glad it wasn't passive hell beasts.
Thank you for reminding me, Michelle.
That's totally fine. I just want to make sure. I usually put it as one of mine, but in this particular case, I'm okay with it. So.
Kirsten's thinking is that if we're going to switch carriages, we don't want it to be known that we've switched.
Okay, so all right, so go ahead, Arlo.
Can I use my hunt for that? Because that's the only thing that I have that comes remotely close.
Absolutely, this would be a hunt roll to shoot.
All right, you. Oh my god, I rolled a 1 and a 6. Nice.
And do we take the 6?
Yeah, we take the 6.
Oh, Nelly! This is a very, very bold thing to shoot the Spirit Warden's crows. But you rolled a 6, which means you do it. What kind of gun do you use, Arlo?
Now, you have asked me a question that I, as the player, don't know how to answer because I don't know a single thing about guns. But
me neither.
It's a gun that uses bullets that you can shoot, so that the target is shot.
This sounds
Is it
like
a little one or a
answer.
big one?
It's a larger one, I think, that I can just kind of precisely point at the target
You got a scope, you looking right into the eyes.
Yes, exactly.
Fuck you, Spirit Warden.
Exactly.
Decorated Army General Arlo is like, this is a gun that I have that I shoot.
Yes, exactly. And I was going to ask, these crows, are they actual spirits? Like, are they magical, or like how does it work? Are they actual animals?
Arlo doesn't know.
That's a good question. I don't think any of you would know the answer.
Okay.
But you have just shot these 2 crows, and you rolled a 6, so they fall to the street. And I suppose if you're curious, you could always have a look.
I think I will. I think I'll have a look and take one of the crows that I just shot and bring it to my mother and say, Mother, something is weird about these crows. Have a look.
More will be on the way soon, Arlo. You and Bootleg must take this over into the other carriage as quick as you can.
Okay.
And I'll have a look at this crow.
All right. While your associates are unloading, and I don't wish to speak for Bootleg, but I feel like maybe Bootleg lets Arlo do most of the lifting while Bootleg supervises.
He's helping. You know when you're like lifting and you're just pretending.
You're just holding the one and being like,
I got it.
While that's
You
going
get that
on,
side and I'll get this side. Oh yeah, I'm taking half the weight, I swear.
You're doing that thing where you're in the second carriage and you're doing the arranging after Arlo lifts them over and gives them to you.
Yeah, Trevor's not even pretending to help. They're just chilling. They're just watching you do this. And Kirsten, how do you investigate this crow?
Do you know what I think? So from a kind of like a game perspective, I think Kirsten is really not keen to go back into that attune mode currently. She's feeling really exhausted from it, and her skin is like on fire. So I think I'm going to assess it as best I can using my occult knowledge, but just like physically the thing. So I'm going to sort of like, pull its wings open and like look in its eyes and that sort of thing to start with.
All right, that will be a study, I think.
Okay. Oh, here we go. 2 3s.
Okay. I mean, it looks like a bird. I don't know how much exposure Kirsten's really had to dead birds, but it certainly appears to be an animal which has been shot by her son. And as you are thinking that, a bolt of ice seems to shoot through your fiery hands. And you don't have to attune to know that something, some kind of message or something has just been shot from this crow to somewhere. It may look like an animal, but there was something occult about it. You are now at 5 out of 6 clocks on the Spirit Warden catching up to you.
I think Kirsten just like spins, to the others. Hurry! We'll take as much as we've got. We have to go.
Time to giddy up, then.
Okay.
Should we destroy what we can't load up?
How much is left, Michelle?
I think it's fair to say that Arla's pretty quick. Bootleg's kind of helping. I think you've got them all into the new carriage.
Okay.
I think my question is, do you take over driving, Bootleg? Or are you going to ask Trevor to be your driver?
I'll ask if he'd allow me to drive his goats for a quick escape. If he wants to just skedaddle out of here.
Yeah, they'll allow you. They'll take the carriage that you originally stole and get the goats back to the stables while you take the new one.
Sounds good.
And they'll say,
friend.
Same applies. Do not destroy this carriage.
I would sooner destroy Arlo before I destroy this carriage.
Hey.
No time. Go. Kirsten just sees it.
I'm gonna ask for
Fly,
fly you fools. A finesse roll from you, Bootleg, just to drive this carriage the hell out of Dodge.
Okay. Does anybody want to give me a little assist?
Can I give you an assist? I'm shouting at you quite.
You could be shouting directions, perhaps.
Yep, I'll take a stress and we'll be assisting that way.
Okay.
Okay. This is the one. I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like I'm gonna roll poorly on this one. Just when we're so close to the end. Okay, 5s! We're back to the 5!
Okay. You do it. You manage to drive this carriage safely back to Six Towers and to stow it away in kind of... there's probably an old estate somewhere that has a carriage house that you're able to hide it away in. You pretty much think that you've got away with this. You don't even notice the crow perched on top of the carriage house as the three of you bring your goods in to the house.
I was so swept up in the euphoria of getting a 5 that I completely forgot that it also has consequences.
I have consequences. That is going to take us out of the action of the score. That final consequence of the Deathseeker Crow is going to be a consequence which comes to bear another day, an entanglement, if you like, for the future of this crew. But for now, you have recovered 12 very, very rare, very, very enchanted, and very, very valuable crystals. And you have a choice now of what to do with them. Because, as you may recall, 2 different people wanted these. One person asked for them for unspoken use, but in exchange for the most beautiful estate in Six Towers, completely unknown to anyone that you would be there, but it would be yours. The other person who wrote to you wanted them destroyed for the good of the city, and, of course, for the good of themselves. They probably can't pay you very much, if anything, but they appealed to your morality. And now the 3 of you have to choose who, if either, you're going to listen to.
I think Kirsten specifically, she's very weak. She goes into the house, she sort of like makes tea. she slumps in a chair. She's very, very quiet. She's almost waiting to see what the others start saying.
Well, first of all, I rip off my disguise, aka my cap, and put back on my cowboy hat, snug.
Oh, Bootleg, it's you.
Of course it was me. Think I'd be anyone else?
Actually, I think Arlo at this point, once you ask this, will go, there's been one thing that I've always wondered with you. This whole bootleg persona, is that also just one of your characters? One of the characters that you method act? Or is this your real voice?
I have an admission to make. This is my real voice.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't.
Don't worry about it, no.
Kirsten lifts her veil and it's Bootleg under there too.
All right. I don't fully trust you, but I'll take that answer. I think for our decision that we have to make, I think it's a pretty easy one. We should definitely give those crystals to the Lord from the creamy letter. And once we give it to him or give them to him and he awards us with the very nice house, we can just steal them back.
For a start, Arlo, my dear.
I
How do you
like
know it
the
is a him?
idea of subterfuge and playing both sides.
I thought that he referred to himself as a lord, but I'm not quite sure if that was true, if I just imagined it.
He did. It's Lord
He did, okay,
Sturlock.
yep.
You're
Okay.
correct. I remember.
What if... I like the playing both sides. We know what these things look like. What if we give them fake ones and try and turn the lords against each other? That he had tipped off that this lord was gonna, steal his cargo, gave him fake ones instead.
I like that idea. It causes some chaos. Just like we've caused chaos these past weeks.
Unintentionally, yeah.
From my side, it was definitely on tension. That was everything that I had envisioned in my head. Went exactly as we planned.
These crystals were never really intended for Spurlock, though, so would Strangford have intended any deceit? He didn't expect them to be stolen.
That's what I'm saying. We pretend that Strangford got tipped off. That Smurlock wanted them.
And how do you propose making fake crystals? These?
You're the magic one.
I think, Mother, you have forgotten a very important detail about your beloved son. I'm very great at papier-mâché, so I can definitely make some crystals for us.
Oh, wait! You actually have a base now. You just need a paper mache over the crystals. You get the right shape and everything.
That is exactly what I was referring to, yes. That's the
Yeah.
art of papier-mâché. That's how I made the animal mask, remember?
Yeah, how could I forget?
So what do you think?
I think I lived a long time in high society, and ultimately it brought me nothing but pain. Our townhouse is becoming more livable by the day. It is satisfactory. It is easier to keep secret, and we will not be at the whim of some lord that has bestowed it on us. We will still be ourselves. These people are being destroyed by what is happening in these factories. Spirits are being tortured within these hulls. And she sort of can sense the discomfort in her own skin still. She sort of thinks about that. I, for one, feel that we owe it to Bell to destroy these. And more so to the city itself.
Yeah, I think you're right. think that's the right thing to do, yes.
Unfortunately, somewhere deep, deep, deep down, I think I agree. But I do want to see what this kid can do with some wet paper in a dream, though.
And with that decision made, you are not going to turn any of these crystals over to Skurlock. You've made it this far on your own. You can keep on making it in your own time. That seems like a reasonable conclusion to draw, after all. Look at what you've achieved over the last few weeks. You're going to destroy all of these crystals? Or does a little part of you think maybe we could keep one for ourselves?
Kirsten is kind of interested in trying to locate whatever that larger, more potent one seemed to be.
We can do that. I don't even think you need to roll. You have all the time you need. I think you find the one that you're not quite sure why it's bigger. Maybe it was just a bigger frame that this one was in. But you definitely sense that there is still a spirit trapped in this one. And not in the others.
I think, just with the group here, how do you think we're destroying these? How did
I was imagining that I'm throwing them up and yelling, "Pull!" And then Arlo goes,
I love that idea, because I think that's distracting enough for perhaps. I think Kirsten then would maybe just take that one and wander off upstairs to her library.
doing
where
this in the house.
there's a secret compartment behind one of the bookshelves, and she'll just be putting that away while downstairs is like pull.
There is a little park called Mistshore Park in Six Towers. It's completely overgrown. It's on the banks of the water, and it's the perfect place for a little bit of clay pigeon magic crystal shooting. And
I think we do call over our contacts then to be like, here, we're destroying them if you want to take a shot too. Have a little free-for-all.
I think Belle and maybe some of the other union organizers come on over and watch the fireworks show as you all do this. And she'll let you know that she's actually been contacted by the Ironworks about reopening negotiations. So maybe they really did manage, with a bit of help from you, to make people distrust the Ironworks enough that they want some actual skilled people, even if they call them unskilled, back in the factory. The fight's definitely not over, but things seem to be going in the right direction. And that's a little thing you can take comfort in as you shatter these crystals over the water. All 11 of them. Surely there were just 11.
I think that's right.
I wasn't counting.
And a strange presence has taken up residence on one of those shelves in Kirsten's study, but that's a mystery for another day. The Ballad of the Silver Spectres has come to an end, or at least this verse of it has. I'm sure the song will continue. But for now, thank you all so very much for joining us to hear this story with these three extraordinarily wonderful role players bringing this story to life. Please introduce yourselves once again. We'll start with Gask.
Hello, my name is Gaskinator, and I've been your various hat-wearing, various accent-sounding guy for this series. I use she, her pronouns, and I can be found some places on the internet using links that are probably around.
There's probably some links, and you should definitely
Probably.
click on them and follow Gaskinator because you have seen just how good she is. Next up, Sakaya.
Hello everyone, I am Sakaya. You can find me as Sakaya on Blue Sky and Discord pretty much. I co-run the transmissions, so Transmissions Tuesdays you can catch our live stream and our podcast, please do. And yes, I have been Kirsten of the Vale, the Whisper, in this Blades in the Dark production.
Incredible. Absolutely do give the Transmissions a listen. Check out their stream. You will not be disappointed. And last but certainly not least, Cash.
Yes, I am still Cash. I have been playing General Arlo, the loving son of a mother that he might be a little bit too attached to. And you can find me online under the alias Casalaya alias, which is really hard to say and also really hard to write. And if you want to look what else or see what else I do on the webs, I am also part of an actual play group that is mostly German speaking. It's called Platonic Pals. And the second one that I'm also in is called Würfelbande. So if you speak German, you can look at it. And if you don't speak German, you can also look at it and then try to learn German.
Hell yeah. I also gotta say that loving son of a mother sounds like a really nice way of saying son of a bitch. Like, you loving son of a mother.
Amazing.
I want that to be bootleg swear word going forward.
New catchphrase for bootleg unlocked.
Yeah.
And our beautiful bilingual friends who speak German, definitely check out Cash's German language work. And you know, she's just that good. You can listen to her English language work if you don't speak German, or hit up that Duolingo to get good enough that you can listen to the German too.
Yeah.
It's motivating me to start learning. Jawohl. Thank you all once again for watching our series of the Ballad of the Silver Spectres. I have been Michelle Kelly, and I remain Michelle Kelly. I am an actor, singer, voice actor, and the architect of chaos. You can find me at Michelle Acopter on all the socials. My website is michellekellyperformance.carrd.co. So check out all the other stuff I'm doing. I love role-playing games, and I'm popping up on all sorts of different channels to play them. I will not be stopped. Finally, thank you all for supporting EUphoria, the home of brilliant European RPG talent. Make sure you follow EUphoria on Twitch. Find those social links below and follow us everywhere so you know what other brilliant stuff is coming up. Listen to us on the podcast if you'd like to hear audio versions of all of these actual play streams. And if you want to support us even more than you're already doing, you could also donate to the Patreon. Sign up. There's secret behind the scenes goodies, and you are helping us to make more of this incredible content. It has been a joy and a pleasure to perform this Blades in the Dark game for you all, and hopefully we'll see you all in not too long. Bye for now.